Hello to my Western Civ 105 class and World Civ 105 class. I want to promise you that even though there will be announcements every week, I'm putting out the most this week because obviously I'm trying to help get all of you acclimated to certain things. And I'm hoping that the announcements will kind of give you a chance to look at one section at a time and kind of process what um, information I'm giving you and trying to explain the expectations. There's been several students who have reached out um, as they've been confused over certain things, and I'm glad that they have, and I've been able to resolve it for them. Um, One thing that some students mentioned to me, which helped me fix some things, is that in my syllabus, the syllabus I have for both classes, you'll see the free link to the textbooks. So you do not have to pay for textbooks. Um, Sometime I try to put that link in the readings link also when I say like what chapter we're being read, but I didn't do that this for this week. So I just fixed that for the 105. I have the link to the textbook there as well, conveniently, and then I um, put it in the 107 as also okay. And so I just want to explain something about the textbooks and like the reading in general. Um, I am not requiring you to do the reading, but I am recommending. Or sometimes the textbook can really help you put out an essay, for example, because it gives you more material to work with. Um, but it's complementary to the lectures. Okay, so and just keep in mind, remember that with the essays, you can use just the textbooks or you can use just the videos. Um, for every essay that you do, what's important is that you answer whatever topic is asked of you to address, and that you only use sources that were in the module, right? And you can just use one source or you can use all. You still have to cite throughout. And you can't just cite once and say, well, the rest is I'm using the same source. I don't need to cite anymore. So remember this rule of thumb: any paragraph that you put out does not come directly from your head. That you got that information from somewhere else that you just learned in class. What you got to do is to tell me where you got that information from. That's what a citation is doing, and you're doing it in a way that when I look at the citation, I could find it right away, and I could see that what you just said goes with the citation. Okay, that's the whole point of citation. Now, I'm not requiring you to do a particular citation style. This is important. At MJC, a lot of times they use what I think MLA. But if you're a history major and you're going to UC Santa Cruz, our state college, we have to use Chicago style. And some of you are saying like, what's Chicago style? Yeah, there's every department has its own particular style, and when you're in a university setting, and especially if you're in grad school or you're trying to be a scholar in your field, there is a militant sort of demand that you really do those citations precisely. Now, this is MJC giving you basic background general ed that we're going through. So I'm not uh, pushing that on you. If you're a history major and you want to practice by using Chicago style, by all means do that if that's just something, because you will have to do that later. And that's just something that you can do for yourself. You're not going to get extra points for it, but I have students do it all the time. If you're not doing that, if you don't want to use Chicago style, just keep in mind that that's something you're going to have to do when you transfer. Now, if you're going to if you transfer to be a nurse or psychiatrist or psychologist, I believe I forget there's a different style you have to use. So do you get my point? And that's why instead of having I want you all to get into the idea of the concept of citations. That citations are supposed to validate that your information is coming from a particular source, and that can be proven right? In other words, you're not fake news, right? You have something that says, hey, I got this, and this is where I got it from. And that way, and if there's something wrong with your source, well, at least we can trace the problem, right? Uh, um, okay, so I hope I just want to get you all again seeing that. This is a non-compromise issue, by the way. When I write, I post examples. I want you to look at them. I will always, you will have to redo your essay, or I need to see the citations in there. There's no way around this. And they have to be within the essay after you paraphrase, which is putting things in your own words, which should be the majority of the essay, or a direct quote for both things, okay? This is a non-compromise issue over here with me. I don't grade hard on the essays, but these are the things you've got to do. No compromise, okay? So get it figured out now. That's what you got to do. And this prevents you from ever being accused of plagiarism. Very important. This is why I'm doing this, okay? And it also keeps you honest. You can't give me an AI essay and then also try to plant your essay, your citations there. If I see they don't line up, and I've seen students do that, you're going to be on my bad side, because now you're trying to be sneaky. Okay? So don't do it. Write your own essay. Put the citations. You guys feel me on this, okay? Now, the first week, don't stress too much. I'm going to give you feedback. I'm going to tell you, if you did something wrong on this assignment or anything else, I'm going to give you feedback, and I'm going to give you a chance to make up for it. I have your back on this. If you come into this class and you're willing to work hard and you want to get things done, I'm going to work with you, okay? Okay, so last thing I just want to say, these are cram courses, and they are, so Western Civ, we're covering a lot of material. World Civ, it's insane, right? Now, I wish that we at our college focused on regions for world. I'm not critiquing my college. I don't know how it's difficult to kind of reorient things, but some colleges will have it so that your class will be just on Far East Asia. Then maybe one is on Southeast Asia, another one on Middle East and North Africa, and another one on Sub-Saharan Africa or Latin America, like South and Central America, things like that, where you're doing world history class, but you're only going to focus on one region. That's not how we do it at MJC. We get these textbooks, we get this expectation that we're going to cover the world. So you're looking at this, whether it's Western Civ or my World Civ, and we're just covering topics that are huge, using words that many of you never got exposed to. Here's what I want you to realize. I don't do multiple choice tests, exams. I do not do multiple choice anything. So you do not have to memorize all of this crazy amount of information. How I try to get the assignments to go and what is important to me about the discussions and the essays is that helps you focus on some aspects of what you learned. My goal is at the very least, you get out of my class and you've been exposed, you've been hit with all of this, absolutism, Tokugawa Japan, Ottoman Empire, Safavid Persia. By the way, Persia is Iran, okay? Iran, and Persia, same, okay? So you hear about these places in the news, right? Okay, you hear about them. Where do they fit in? Yeah, you're not going to memorize all this stuff, but I'm giving you information on this stuff. You're going to look at Western civilization, and you're going to start seeing what is, America is a European project. We come out of European traditions. We might be doing our own things and kind of putting our own twist on it. But America, and I didn't come up with this term, I learned this in grad school from my professor. Yes, the United States is a European project, and as a European project, it's a Western project. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all the above, everything all together, okay? That is the reality. So what I'm hoping is that instead of you being overwhelmed by how much information is coming out, step back, take a deep breath, and go, look, Mr. Pollock's just wanting to see that I watch these videos, that I'm making video notes. I'm going to try to answer this question on the discussion. I'm going to get some feedback to my fellow students, and I'm going to try to write and focus on some aspects that I learned. Okay, we're done now. What's going to happen when you have an exam? You're going to have to write, kind of just do the similar what you're doing on the Sunday essays. Okay, your grade will not depend on how well you do on exams. It will depend on how you keep up with the class, which is not necessarily easy. It's summer, and we're doing several chapters a week, condensed. So that's the main thing I wanted to let you know, but also I wanted to kind of give you a chance to take a breather. Okay. So I hope that this last message really helps sink in. Oh yeah, the last thing I do cover in both classes when it comes to Russia, a infamous leader named Ivan the Terrible. But Ivan the Terrible is kind of a bad uh, manipulation of the Russian word. Ivan Grozny is like formidable. Okay. It's convenient to call him terrible though, because the history that you see is exposed with him. He was very disturbing. Although I do want to also point out that Russians and their founding fathers, like Americans and our founding fathers, are characters that can be looked at in different ways. So we can focus on the United States founding fathers and the fact that they had slaves and that they were displacing native people or some other things. And if you do a whole clip on that, that's one side that you're getting of them. You can ignore that side and go into their statecraft, their ability to mobilize people, being a revolutionary hero, war hero, these kind of things. Okay, you can kind of select, and that creates a different picture. I would say that Ivan the Terrible was as bad as like the documentary clip I have, also I wouldn't have you watch it. But keep in mind that he's also kind of somebody who helps, he is the one is going to help create the Russia that is there today. Okay, and there's not all the aspects of him are as far as the maybe a Russian nationalist is concerned would be the focus on all of that those other terrible qualities that he has. Just like for Europe, one of the founders of Europe is Charlemagne. We'll talk about him. Also a very complicated, not necessarily a good person, but also kind of important to Europe. And we're going to talk about other leaders that, yes, they killed all these people, and yes, they also become important for other things. So history is complicated and messy like that. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind that I'm trying to get you into that mindset to think critical about what you're seeing, and also kind of step back for a second and look at it from many different angles. Keep in mind that not every video that I produce, sure, that I show you means that I'm telling you to believe it 100%. If I give you a documentary, it might be because I think it's the best. It gives you a great introduction into the topic. And so feel comfortable to critique, engage with the material that's out there. And I'm putting out information that's consensus view from scholars the best I can. And so a consensus is just like a court case. You can say that this is the evidence that we have and we believe this person's guilty, but you weren't there, you didn't see it. And how many times in history does we find out later that what seemed like definite evidence that went on one side of the trial, actually the person was innocent after all. Okay, but at the time the conclusion made the most sense. Maybe this is tough about being a human. This is tough about this field. So all right, that's all I have to say. I hope that's going to be enough. Zoom office hours will be posted soon this week if anybody needs to talk to me through that. And have a blessed week. We'll be in touch.